Hello everybody, my name is TaurusLehane, and today we're going to do a different video than what I normally do on this channel. Now, a few weeks ago, I did a Survivor, perk loadout, for newbies, basically. All the new people that are going to be coming in from the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter, which is going to be releasing on, June 17th. June 17th is the day that Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be releasing, so we're going to get a lot more new players to the game because there's so many fans of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. It's like a huge franchise now. And I believe they recently celebrated 10 years, the franchise in general. And I think it's pretty awesome that it's coming to Dead by Daylight. It took me a long time to be sold on Dead by Daylight, or I'm sorry, not Dead by Daylight. Five Nights at Freddy's, please forgive me. I mean, it did take a little bit for me to be sold on Dead by Daylight as well. I didn't start playing it until about a year and a half after it was released. But more so on Five Nights at Freddy's, I really didn't like get sold on it until Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, because in my opinion, it was just like jump scare simulator for kids. And I still kind of think that most of the time, but Security Breach really changed everything and made me realize that it was capable of more than just being that. And so I thought that was really cool. I always thought the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's was fascinating. It's just that the overall gameplay was just kind of not that interesting. And then, of course, the movie came out, and that furthermore pushed it, in my opinion, to be interesting and unique. And so, but I'm really happy that it's finally coming to the game because I don't really care for the ghoul, which is the most recent killer before Springtrap, or the animatronic, whatever you want to call it. And so I don't know. It's very interesting. I'm definitely not a Tokyo Ghoul person either. So there's been a lot of chapters recently that I'm just not really into or too keen on. But I mean, it's kind of okay, especially with Killer, because for me as a Killer main, I'm more about their powers and their abilities than anything else. Like Chucky. Is one of my favorites, like horror franchises. However, I hate how he works in this game. It absolutely infuriates me. So I don't really play him that much. But it's not about that. Like my favorite horror icon franchise is Halloween, Michael Myers. But Michael Myers is arguably one of the worst killers in this game, and so I have to kind of like separate the killer's power from how much I like the franchise or not. But anyway, today is about new killers coming to Dead by Daylight. So we're gonna get a lot of new survivors, and of course, it's a mathematical equation type thing where it's like there's 4 survivors versus 1 killer. So we're gonna get a lot more survivor mains than killer mains. However, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of killer mains because this is going to be a survivorless chapter. So more people are going to be wanting to play killer. They're going to be wanting to play Springtrap. And maybe we'll be getting other characters as killers. So you never know. We might be getting Bonnie or Chica or Foxy or, any assortment. Balloon Boy. I mean, come on, let's get some Balloon Boy. Balloon Boy is amazing and fun and creepy. Like that giggle, that cackle. I guess it's not really a cackle, witches cackle more than anything else. But anyway, so what I'm gonna do today is the first video that I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be going over perks that I think are gonna be good for you as a first time killer in this game, excluding Springtrap perks because I do not have access to them. And to be quite frank with you, while they are better than any that came with Konake, in my opinion, aka the Ghoul, I don't think any of them were really like incredibly amazing that they're going to become meta in this game. So I really wouldn't worry about them too much. Obviously, I do encourage everybody to get their Adept when they can, which just means all of Freddy's basic perks. I'm sorry, not Freddy. Oh my goodness. Springtraps, the animatronics, all of their perks. And then you just play a game of that and you kill everybody and then you get your Adept and it's all fantastic. And then you move on from there. So If you did not watch the Survivor version of this video, I encourage you to do so because one of the best advices that I ever got in the like playing this game throughout the years and stuff like that was very early on when somebody told me they said if you want to be good at killer play survivor, if you want to be good at survivor play killer. So I encourage you to not be beholden to just one. I encourage you to play both sides and interact with both sides and, maybe do like an every other day type thing, even. I don't really know. But of course, at the end of the day, you just want to have fun and you want to be entertained because that's what video games should be about. It shouldn't be a competitive situation, even though some people like to make it so. So one of the things that you're gonna want to do, in my personal opinion, I have 11,000 hours in this game, and I would say about um, somewhere between like 55 and 70% of the time I play killer. More so 70, but it just kind of depends on so many different factors in regards to like modes and all that other kind of stuff nowadays, and like what I have to do for that day. But I would suggest that you start with the plague, and this is the plague here. She is an ancient goddess that was around during the bubonic plague, and her power is very interesting. She basically vomits on everything and infects everything, and then infects the survivors and makes it harder for them to heal or to do generators or to save other survivors without them also getting infected. And so it's very interesting. And this is one of my favorite cosmetics of hers. And she's so fun and she's so fascinating. And she's definitely not a killer that I play too much right now. But she is a killer that I played quite a bit in the past. In fact, every year I try to like challenge myself with a killer that just absolutely irritates me or I'm not good with or just I don't feel comfortable with, and one of them was the plague in the past, not current, not recent. It was the plague, and then it was Huntress, and now right now it's actually the good guy, aka Chucky. Even though I kind of stopped because it was really really aggravating me. But again, today is about the plague and the one of the best perks in the entire game. And again, people are going to debate this, and I know that. But in my opinion, right now, it's currently Corrupt Intervention. And this is going to be a fantastic perk for people who are brand new to the game. And, gens in this game, when you are a killer, gens are your biggest enemy. It's not the survivors, though a lot of survivors would like to think they are. But if they're actually focused on doing the objectives in the game, they're going to want to get the generators done, and they're going to want to open the exit gates. And that's why the generators are your biggest nemesis. And this is going to really help you in the very beginning. So Corrupt Intervention, which is a teachable from the plague. So you have to play the plague to have this in the very beginning. If you do not play the plague, you will not have access to this perk in the very beginning. And I encourage you to level her up as much as possible so then you can unlock it for all your other killers, including the animatronic. And unfortunately, you do have to P100 at least once to get to the animatronic. But I can pretty much guarantee you that they'll do it. They'll make it really, really easy for you to get to P100 at least once when Five Nights at Freddy's chapter releases, because they're going to want people to not only play the game, but they're going to want to keep people playing the game. And the only way to do that is to not make it feel incredibly overwhelming, because this game will be out for 9 years at that point, and there are so many perks, there are so many add-ons, and there are so many offerings, and you're just going to be bombarded with so much information like right now. And this is just my way of trying to make it a little bit easier for you. There are 9 pages of perks. I'm not even going to go over add-ons or offerings because that's just a whole other thing. And I'm not Oddstarva. Oddstarva is a fantastic content creator, but he's somebody who will talk about everything and anything for at least 30 minutes. And that's great, but that's not me. And I feel like not everybody has that kind of attention span nowadays. So I'm going to try to get through them as as quick as possible, and hopefully I can keep the videos under 30 minutes apiece. At least that's what I did last time. So, Corrupt Intervention, a Plague Teachable. Your players invoke a dark power that meddles with the survivor's chances of survival. 3 generators located furthest from you are blocked by the entity for 120 seconds at the start of the trial. Survivors cannot repair these generators for the duration. Affected generators are highlighted by white. Corrupt Intervention deactivates when any survivor enters the dying state. It shall be known across the land that the gods curse the unfaithful. The Tablet of Adris, 3.7. And that's the name of the plague. The plague is Adris. So basically, first and foremost, this perk took me a long time to think it was any good. Like, the plague had been out for at least a year and a half, 2 years before I was like, yeah, I'm going to run this. Because to me, in my mind, any perk that isn't good after a certain period of time is no good. It's just no good. What's the point? Why would I run a perk that doesn't help me through the remainder of the trial? There are so many other perks that are active the entire trial. Why would I run this? Well, this perk is actually fantastic for so many reasons. First of all, because it blocks generators and it blocks the ones that are furthest from you, it brings the survivors closer to you, and therefore it's easier to find them. And it's so, like, it still doesn't sound great, but it really is great. And if you down any survivor at any point in that 120 seconds that they're blocked, then they will automatically not be blocked anymore. But it's okay because you have that very early pressure in the game, and that's going to help you so incredibly much. I promise you. Now, there are a lot of people who are probably going to say that instead of Corrupt Intervention, you should probably go for Scourge Pain Resonance. And the reason why I'm not going for Scourge Pain Resonance is because as a new player, that is going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be very overwhelming. As somebody who has over 11,000 hours, it's kind of overwhelming to me because, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I'm not going to read this perk to you, but I'm going to just basically kind of tell you what it means. So Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, basically there's like 4 or 5 hooks, I forget how many right now, that will glow white, and when you put a survivor on them, then you end up doing damage to generate or regressing generators essentially. But here's the thing, the hooks are limited. Sometimes they can spawn in the same exact area as all the other hooks, so they're not spread out very well. And also, you're never guaranteed to get use from those hooks. This perk here, this Corrupt Intervention, it works every single time at the start of the trial, so you get very early pressure. But if the hooks are not in the right areas for you, with Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, you're never going to get value from them, and it's just going to be a wasted perk slot. And that's not something you really want to worry about when you're a brand new player, in my personal opinion. All right, so the next 3 perks, these are all going to be perks that you can obtain via your Blood Web just by spending blood points. You don't need to prestige any characters. You don't need to unlock any other characters. These are basic perks that anybody can unlock as long as you're upgrading a killer. And again, I would go for the Plague just because of Corrupt Intervention. If you are going for a different killer, that's fine, but you're not going to have Corrupt Intervention available to you until you prestige her at least once, which is 50 levels. It's 50 levels. You can prestige up to 100, but you only need to prestige in your Blood Web once, which is 50 levels. And I think that's 1,000,000 blood points, which sounds like a lot, but Dead by Daylight has become a lot more generous with their blood points, I'll say, over the years. And people still complain that they don't get enough, but trust me, they get enough. They get a lot. There's going to be plenty of codes. There's going to be plenty of login bonuses. I'm telling you, we are going to be swimming in blood points when the FNAF chapter drops. Either the day of or roundabouts. Right now, we even have a 2.5 blood point bonus right now. So if you get the game now and you start leveling her up now, you'll pretty much have it available, Corrupt Intervention, by the time that FNAF drops. But anyway, so we're gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go through these next 3 perks, and these are already able to unlock in your blood web. These are purple only because they are tier 3 right now, and there's 3 tiers altogether, so this is the highest it can be. And I personally think they should get rid of tiers. There's no reason for them anymore. There used to be, and I understand why, but it just doesn't make sense to keep them. But anyway, the first one that I recommend, and this one is going to be controversial, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit more after I read you what it does. All right, Hex No One Escapes Dead, aka NOED. You've probably heard people complain about this before in other content creator streams or videos or whatever, especially if you've been around DbD media. If you haven't, then a lot of people complain about this. So, a hex rooting in its power on hope. You are animated by the power of your hex totem when the survivors are on the verge of escaping. Once the exit gates are powered, if there is a dull totem remaining on the map, this hex is applied to it. While this hex is active, survivors suffer from exposed status effect. You have 4% haste. Once the hex effect is revealed to the survivors, its hex totem's aura is shown to the survivors at a range of 4 meters. This range increases steadily over the next 30 seconds to 24 meters. The hex effects persist as long as the related hex totem is standing. Exposed survivors will be downed by basic attacks even if uninjured. Haste increases killer movement speed, and the beast became faster and more powerful, as if the entity's shadowy whips are lashing at its back. So essentially, in Dead by Daylight, there are these totems that are around the map, and it's like a skull and crossbones type of thing, and it looks like a tiny little desk lamp. There's 5 of them on the map, and what happens with this is if the survivors finish all of the generators and then they open up the exit gates, then this becomes active. Or I'm sorry, they don't have to open up the exit gates. They just have to get the gens done. So once the gens are done, this activates. And as long as there's a dull totem on the map, then it will become Hex No One Escapes Death, or Hex NOED. And it really, really buffs the killer. It makes it so that the survivors are exposed, so they're going to be a one-hit down, regardless of the state that they're currently in. You gain 4% haste, which is a big deal. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a big deal for really any killer. And then also, the survivors do have the totem's aura revealed to them, but they got to be really close to it. And this was a nerf that happened more than a few years ago now. It didn't used to do that, but survivors just kept complaining. Now, the reason that this is so good is because a lot of survivors very rarely ever prioritize doing totems. It's a very easy thing. It doesn't require any skill checks or anything like that. And you can just kind of sit idly there and do the totems. And the reason why, I think, is because people just get bored by it and they just don't see the point in it. But there's a lot of good to doing totems. I mean, obviously, if they clear all 5 of these, they don't have to worry about Hex NOED. And also, I discovered a few years ago that cleansing totems, whether they are active or not, hexed, that is, they actually go towards your Lightbringer emblem, and your Lightbringer emblem is something that you need to do when you're a survivor. It basically equates to the same as doing a generator for that emblem. It's not the same amount of points as completing a generator, but it counts towards that emblem. So that's kind of, if you ever need to do the Lightbringer emblem for Survivor, cleanse totems. And like I said, there are 5 on each map, and usually there's 1 in each corner in the map. Not exactly in the corner, but like around it, and then 1 in the center, almost always. But this is just really good because the killer gains haste, the survivors are all exposed until they cleanse the totem. Now, the reason why this is kind of controversial is because even though it's really easy to get rid of the hex, the survivors just don't really usually want to do totems at all. And then they complain because they didn't do this simple little thing of cleansing totems, getting rid of them, destroying them. They now have to deal with this perk, which gets them an auto down. Now, here's the thing. Regardless if a totem is hexed or not active, I encourage you to cleanse it, because not only does it go to the Lightbringer emblem, but also you don't have to worry about no ed then. But this is a great perk for killer because, like I said, most survivors don't. And if you're gonna cleanse, I would wait until at least 2 or 3 generators are done first, because otherwise, your fellow teammates are gonna be really upset with you if they see you cleansing totems, and especially if there's no hex going on, and you're just cleansing totems for no reason. So at least if you're make sure that 1 or 2 generators are done first, then that way it's like you're halfway through and it's like, well, I can focus on doing this then. Also, you're going to have quests sometimes that ask you to cleanse totems, so you might as well just figure out where they are and just do it, even if they're hexed or not. But like I said, don't do it off from the very beginning. Wait until there's like 2 or 3 gens done and then go ahead and do it. All right, so the next one is Iron Grasp. Iron Grasp is also a basic perk, so you can just unlock this automatically in your blood web. As I said before, it's already in there from the moment you boot it up. You don't have to have a special character or anything like that. You're just going to need that for Corrupt Intervention and play the Plague. So Iron Grasp, your powerful hold on the survivors causes escapes to be nearly impossible. Effects of survivors struggling are reduced by 75%. Time to struggle out of your grasp is increased by 12%. So a very popular perk that survivors like to run is a perk called Boil Over. And this makes it more difficult when trying to carry a survivor to a hook. I don't think... No, I was going to tell you wrong information for a second. But basically, you don't want anything to make it difficult for you to bring a survivor to a hook if you're a killer, because you want to hook them and you want to kill them as fast as possible. And this is really going to help with that, because survivors are going to do everything possible to make it so that you can't hook them. So they're going to wiggle like their life depends on it, and then Boil Over is going to come in, and that's going to make it easier, and then you're going to drop them, and you're going to get frustrated, and it's not worth it. Just bring Iron Grasp, and it's going to make it so much easier for you so that that survivor stays put on your shoulder or in your hand or on your arm or wherever the killer carries them, or however the killer carries them. Most killers do carry the survivors on their back, but there's a few killers who don't. And either way, no matter how you carry them, this is going to help them stay put for a longer period of time, and it's going to make it so that you're not affected as much by other perks that help survivors get out, wiggle faster, struggle faster, whatever you want to call it. So that's pretty basic perk there. Not a lot to explain, but once you start using it, you're probably not going to want to equip it, just to keep that in mind. And then the very last one is called Scourge Hook Monstrous Shrine. Now, a lot of people are going to give you crap about this one, kind of like Hex Ruin, but for a very different reason. This perk has changed quite a bit over the years. Now it is a Scourge Hook. Earlier I was talking about Scourge Hook, but that was in relation to generators regressing. This is not that at all. And to be quite frank, even though it is a Scourge Hook, and the RNG, random number generator, is not going to always be in your favor, it's still good to have this as a possibility. This is a great thing to use, but if you never end up using it, it's kind of okay, to be honest with you. But a lot of survivors are not going to expect you to have this perk. Maybe they would expect it once they know you have no ed, but by that point, it's going to be too late. But this is actually a pretty cool perk, so let me go ahead and read it to you. Your fervent care of hooks found in the basement have aroused the entity's interest. At the start of the trial, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge hooks. You see their auras in white. Scourge Hook grants 20% faster entity progression if the killer is not within 24 meters. Basement hook count as Scourge hooks. Then you will know that there is no escape. When hanging in the depths, you face the Dark One. So essentially, the basement hooks will be Scourge hooks. But then in addition to, there will be 4 random hooks on the map. And they can all be together or they can all be apart. Doesn't matter. It's just a random number generator. It's never consistent. Well, it's very rarely consistent. And if it is consistent, then that's just happenstance. It's not actuality. But anyway, when you put the survivors on the hook, they're gonna die 20% faster than if they didn't, as long as you're not within 24 meters. So, in other words, camping, which is something that you're going to hear a lot of survivors complain about, is camping. And I don't really disagree with them on that, but it can be annoying because there are some situations where it's going to look like to the survivor that you're camping when you're really not. So yeah, these are the perks that I would suggest sorry, to brand new players of the game. Once again, it's corrupt intervention. This is going to make it so that the generators that are furthest from you, 3 generators that are furthest from you, and reminder, survivors need to do 5 of them to complete the trial, are blocked for 120 seconds, meaning the survivors are going to come closer to you. Then we have Hex, no one escapes death, aka NOED, and this makes it so that if not all the survivors cleanse the totems, which they don't like to do unless they really have a good reason for it, and they're not going to know about NOED till it's too late, then you're going to get a 4% haste, and all the survivors are going to be exposed, which means you can shoot them all down at one shot, in one shot. And then you have Iron Grasp, which makes it so that they struggle 75% less than they could. And it makes it so that they have to struggle even longer. So depending on the map size and depending on what map you're on, you're going to hook them a lot faster. And then once you hook them, they're going to die faster because you're going to be running Scourge Hook Monstrous Shrine as long as it's on a Scourge hook. So the basement or one of the other white hooks that you can see on the map, their auras are going to glow to you. And they'll die 20% faster as long as you're 24 meters away from them. So especially these perks together, oh my goodness. And then you're going to create all of that pressure in the very beginning. I can't find my words today. I'm so sorry. You're going to create all that pressure in the very beginning, and you're going to upset the crap out of everybody because they're like, oh, I can't do this generator. Now, to be fair, some survivors are going to wait until they can do the generators, but most of them are not going to. I don't think that's something you're going to have to worry about as a new killer, but maybe, who knows, right? So I really, really do suggest all of these perks together. But just because you're a new killer, you're going to find better stuff that work later on with her power or a different killer's power if you have that opportunity. But this is definitely what I would suggest. And again, this is the Plague, and you want to use her Teachable Corrupt Intervention. Hex, no one escapes death is a basic perk, can be unlocked from playing any, like just from the very beginning. Iron Grasp, same thing. And Scourge Hook Monstrous Shine, same thing. Now, just real quickly, a lot of survivors will complain about camping, tunneling, and slugging in this game. Camping is basically staying by a hook when you don't need to be. It's kind of like babysitting that survivor, trying to make it hard for any other survivor to save them while they die. I don't ever really recommend doing this because survivors can also get themselves off the hook if you stay there for too long. So you want to move away. I get why you don't, because you want to kind of protect your kill maybe, but I would highly suggest that you move away. Then slugging is when you slug a survivor on the ground and you just kind of leave them. It is one of the most boring things that you can do even as a killer main. I don't like to do it as killer. I don't like to do it as survivor. The only time that I do it, however, is if a survivor sabotages my hook and it disappears. I will be petty, and I will slug you, and I will put you down in front of that hook, and I won't pick you back up until it's respawned, and then I'll put you on that hook. Now, I won't camp you afterwards, but I'm just saying, if you're going to waste my time, I will waste yours. But I don't recommend that for new players. And then, tunneling is kind of difficult to explain. You can look up a basic definition online, of course, but really it's when you just focus on one survivor and, hit them, down them, hook them until they're dead and nobody else. You just ignore everybody else until you do that. Don't do that. It's a terrible decision. Now, and the reason for that is because if the other survivors are really smart and intelligent, they're going to realize this, and then they're just going to do all the gens, and then they're going to open up the exit gates and get out, you know? So you killed one, great, but the other three escape, doesn't work. Now, if they do get down to 2 gens or less, then I do recommend doing all those things, but you still gotta have to figure out camping, tunneling, and slugging for the record is what I recommend doing if there's 2 or less gens. However, I don't know if I would recommend doing that for somebody who's brand new to the game, because you still have to figure out how to balance all those things without still getting completely destroyed, if that makes sense. All right, well, I fear this did go over 30 minutes, and I'm so sorry about that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments, or maybe I can answer them in another video if it becomes too much. But I am a killer main, so I have more information, I feel like, on this matter, and I could go on and on and on about more things. Excuse me. I do plan to play and use these perks in a different video coming out to, excuse me, tentatively tomorrow. But I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath because I actually planned to do this the week after I did the Survivor version, and I didn't because life happened. So who knows? Life can happen, of course. Life does happen, but hopefully tomorrow will be okay, and I'll be able to show the killer off to you because she's very unique in her powers and ability, and then also these perks. And I'm actually excited thinking about that because I don't think I've ever used this combination, but I know about this combination. And I think it's fascinating. I think it can work really, really well together, especially like these two, and then this in the very beginning. And this is just kind of fun. This is kind of like, huh, well, you didn't do the very basic thing, and now you're going to be punished for it, essentially. And I mean, you're going to get usage out of this like a good 85-90% of the time, minimum. I promise you, minimum. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. This is going to be it for the video today, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. I have several different social media links available for you down below in the description. Please check them all out, including my Twitch. Recently, the Dead by Daylight behavior has said that we need 10,000 followers on all of our social medias combined. So at least there's that, for us to maybe enter into the content creator program, and I would like to do that. So if you don't mind, subbing, or I guess following on my Twitch or any of my other social medias, I would really, really appreciate it. And like I said, tomorrow I will do actual video gameplay using this character, the Plague, and all of these perks, just so that you can maybe, be swayed more to use these perks and this character in the very beginning. I know everybody's going to want to play Springtrap and all that other kind of stuff, and I encourage you to. I thought the killer was so much fun, but if you want to get a head start and you want to unlock a really, really good perk to have for when the FNAF chapter comes out, Plague is it. Plague is 100% it. All right, one more time. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.